When it comes to building strong personal credit in terms of score and overall profile, a lot of people make a simple mistake that holds their profile back, which can create credit application denials or low limits on future applications. Over time, by not making this mistake, you will further optimize your profile and your score and build just a much thicker, more attractive profile. This will help you get the best approvals on top personal credit cards and the top 0% interest business credit cards with higher limits, getting those much easier. In this video, I'm gonna discuss my personal strategy about closing personal credit cards. So let's dive in. Why never close personal credit cards? Well, first, each account brings age and payment history to your credit report. The more accounts you have, the thicker your profile is. And when your profile is thin, it makes it very difficult to get approved for future credit cards, and specifically the best personal credit cards and top 0% interest business credit cards. So these accounts, the age and the credit history will become stronger the more accounts you have and the longer and older age on a per account basis. So you need 16 or more total accounts open on your credit profile to have a 850 perfect credit score. So this is something you want to be building over time. And each card helps maintain a relationship with the specific bank that you have the card at. And the more relationships you have with banks, the easier it is to get approved for future credit card products or loan products or anything in that realm. So if you have a good relationship with Chase, it becomes easier to get approved for the business credit cards at Chase. If you close down personal credit cards at Chase, you're closing down relationships at that bank. So you want to be building relationships and develop longer age on a per account basis. It's going to be making everything easier in credit moving forward, just a lot easier. Additionally, there are benefits to building comparable credit, okay? When you have larger limits, it becomes easier to get approved for larger limits in the future. So we look at comparable credit on a per account basis, and we also look at comparable credit on a collective personal credit basis. So the more credit limits you have, the better your profile, the more attractive your profile looks like. Instead of closing personal credit cards, here is what I would do. And this is a personal strategy on a per bank and per card basis. So first, if we're looking at Chase personal credit cards that have maybe an annual fee, because maybe that's what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I have this personal credit card, I'm paying this annual fee, I don't really use the card, well, let me just close it. Well, actually, instead of closing it, it's much more beneficial to downgrade the card, downgrade the account to either a free version of the card or a less expensive option. So at Chase, for example, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has almost an $800 annual fee. The Chase Sapphire Preferred has about a $100 annual fee. Maybe you're not using this card and you don't use the benefits and you just don't want to pay the annual fee. What I would suggest, a much better strategy, is actually to downgrade one of those, or maybe both of them. Actually, you only can have one Sapphire. Downgrade the Sapphire to the Freedom Unlimited. When you do this, it keeps the account open on your credit profile. So you're not going to lose the age, you're not going to lose the account, it's going to stay open. And the Chase Freedom Unlimited does not have an annual fee. So it's a win-win. You get a card with no annual fee because you don't want to pay it anymore. And then your account stays open on your credit profile. So that's why you keep your payment history, you keep the age, you keep the account. This is going to be much more beneficial to your credit profile and also your relationship with Chase. Looking at just the relationship, the longer you have accounts open, the stronger your relationship is with that bank, assuming your payment history is good and you make payments on time, etc. So at Chase specifically, that's what I would do. If you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the Preferred, you don't want to pay the annual fee anymore, downgrade it to the Chase Freedom Unlimited because it is a free option. If we look at Capital One, for example, and I did this exact strategy at Chase from the Reserve down to the Freedom Unlimited, and then I got the Preferred. I did that same thing. At Capital One, what I'm about to tell you, I recently did this about a year ago. So first I had the Capital One Venture X. I do think it's generally a pretty good travel card. It gives 2 points per dollar spent on everything. There's a couple travel benefits that come with the card, but I just didn't really want to pay the $400 annual fee. So I downgraded it from the Capital One Venture X to the Capital One Venture. I did this because the Capital One Venture only has a $100 annual fee. and I didn't use all the benefits of the Venture X. I just didn't really want it. So I downgraded it to the Capital One Venture. This way, the account stayed open on my credit profile, and I'm maintaining that relationship with Capital One. The relationship with Capital One isn't as important as it is at Chase and American Express and other banks that actually have 0% cards that don't report to your personal credit profile. But having the relationship with Capital One is beneficial in general. So that's what I would do at Capital One. When we look at American Express, for example, a lot of people either have business golds or just the personal gold. Personal gold, there is some benefits of having the card, but if you're looking at the annual fee, it's about $400 and you just don't want to pay it anymore, what I would recommend to do, instead of closing the account, you can actually downgrade to a less expensive version, which is the which is the American Express Green Card. The Green Card does have an annual fee. I believe it's about $100 around there, but at least it's not the $400. Okay, so that would be a strategy on how to downgrade the Amex Gold Card to a less expensive version of the card. Most cards that have annual fees have a less expensive card or a free version that you can downgrade to, like the Chase example. And so before closing accounts, I would recommend to see if there's a downgrade option. So you keep that history, you keep that account open. I will make, though, a few exceptions that I can justify closing personal credit card accounts. If you already have at least 5 personal credit cards with collective limits of $40,000 or more, and there isn't a free option to downgrade to, and you just simply don't want to pay the annual fee, $500, $400, $800, and there's just not an option to downgrade for free, and you're just not using the benefits, and you have 5+ personal credit cards, and your collective personal credit limits are over $40,000, in that scenario, if you just don't want to pay for it, then that would be an exception I would make. It would take a little hit on your credit report to close that credit card account, but if you just don't want to pay the fee, your credit is pretty strong in general, then closing the account might just be the best option. That would be an exception I would give. The second exception is if the card is a low-tier card, such as a credit union, a secured card, or a credit building card, that would be an account that I really wouldn't press to keep open. In general, I would just keep it open because the age is going to help. But if you're like, I just want simplicity, I don't want this many accounts open, I don't have to think about this card, you're like, I just want it closed. If it's a low tier card, it's going to be less of a hit because the high tier cards look better on your profile. Like the tier 1 cards at Chase, Bank of America, they look better on your profile. So if it's a low tier card and you want to close it, that would be another exception I would make. It still would take a hit on your average age, but overall, it wouldn't be that bad. If there is a late payment on a card and you don't want to have it open anymore, it's actually easier to remove a late payment on an account if the account is closed, okay? So say, for example, you have a credit card at Capital One and it has a late payment on it. If you don't really love the card, you don't want to pay the annual fee, you want to close it down, and it has a late payment, well, if you want to go through credit repair disputes and get that late payment disputed and removed from your credit profile, if that account is closed, it is much easier for a credit repair team to actually get that late payment removed from that account. If you do have late payments or collections or anything derogatory on your payment history and you're interested to learn how to get those things removed from your report, we do have a credit repair service, simplerepairservices.com. I'll link that down below. If you're interested in that and need that service, click that link. We'd love to get you helped out there. Those are the 3 exceptions I would make on closing personal credit card accounts, but in general, the more credit card accounts you have on your profile, the better. You want to be building credit over time. And remember, you need at least 16 credit accounts to have a perfect score. The people that only have 2, 3, 4 credit accounts in general, they have a very thin profile. And the goal with credit should be to build one, as best of a score as you possibly can, but also to build a very strong profile, a resilient profile with many accounts with many on-time payments. And when you do this, your profile is not only resilient in case a late payment happens, but it's thick and attractive. So when you're trying to get approved for different loan products, 0% interest business credit cards, or even the top personal credit cards, when you have a thick profile, it is going to be much easier to get approved for those credit card accounts. So if you're someone that is trying to continue to build strong credit, maybe your goal is to get access to 0% interest business credit cards, I have a mentorship called Credit Stacking where I teach you and hold your hand through most of the process to help you get approved for example, $100,000 of 0% interest business funding. That's 0% for the first 12 months. So that mentorship program is called Credit Stacking. For only a small monthly membership, you can join Credit Stacking. That link is going to be down below. If you're not ready for credit stacking, keep watching videos on the YouTube channel. We got more coming out next week. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.